My name is Anna. I live in a small town with my husband Chris. We have been married for 5 years. Chris is kind, calm, and always helpful. He works in an office and comes home every evening. He gives me love, time, and respect. But something inside me always feels scared. Every day, I wait for Chris to come home. If he is 5 minutes late, I feel worried. My heart beats fast. I start to think maybe he is with someone else. I try to calm down, but I cannot stop thinking bad thoughts. Even when Chris smiles and talks to me kindly, I feel something is wrong. I check his phone when he sleeps. I look at his messages. I don't find anything strange, but I still feel unsure. Sometimes I follow him when he goes to work. I sit in my car and watch from far. He walks into his office and talks to his coworkers. I see nothing bad, but my mind still plays tricks. At home, I ask him many questions. Where did you go? Who did you talk to? Why didn't you answer fast? Chris always answers with patience. He does not get angry. He just looks tired. I check his clothes for perfume. I watch his eyes when he speaks. I want to catch a lie, but there is no lie. Still, I continue. When he talks to his female coworker, I feel jealous. When he smiles while texting, I feel afraid. Even when he sleeps, I wonder if he is dreaming of someone else. I know Chris is not doing anything wrong. But my fear is bigger than the truth. I try to stop thinking like this. I tell myself to trust him. But then, a small thought comes back. What if I'm wrong? What if he is hiding something? I feel guilty for not trusting him, but I also feel safe when I check things. My heart wants peace, but my mind wants control. One day, I followed him again. I saw him buy flowers. I thought they were for another woman. I followed him to the house. But then I saw his mother open the door. He gave her the flowers and hugged her. I felt ashamed. I cried alone in my car. I wanted to stop all this. I wanted to change. At night, I looked at him while he slept. His face was calm, his breath slow. He was not hiding anything. I felt sorry. But the next day, I checked his phone again. I felt weak. I couldn't stop. My love had turned into fear. I started to make rules. Don't talk to women. Don't stay out late. Don't turn off your phone. Chris said nothing. He followed my rules. But I could see the light in his eyes become less bright. He stopped laughing like before. He stopped telling stories about his day. I had turned our love into a prison. I talked to my friend. She said I needed help. She said trust is the heart of love. I cried. I didn't want to lose Chris. I didn't want to lose myself. I wanted to be free from fear. I started writing my thoughts. Every time I felt scared, I wrote them down. I tried to see the truth. I tried to remember his kindness. I tried to trust again. It was not easy. My mind was full of questions, but I tried to answer them with facts, not fear. Chris never left me. He stayed by my side. But I knew if I didn't change, one day he might leave. I didn't want that. I wanted to love, not control. I wanted to be a wife, not a watcher. Now, I take small steps. I still feel fear sometimes, but I talk to Chris about it. I don't hide my feelings. I don't check his phone anymore. I try to believe his words. I try to see the good, not the bad. Love is not about control. Love is about trust. I am learning that now. I don't want to be a prisoner of my own thoughts. I want to be free. I want to be strong. I want to love without fear. My name is Anna. I still make mistakes. But I am trying. Every day, I try to be better, for Chris, and for myself. Some days, I watched Chris when he left for work. I stood by the window and waited to see if he turned to look back. If he didn't, I felt sad. I told myself he didn't care. But deep down, I knew he was just busy. Still, the thought stayed in my mind like a shadow. When he came home late, my heart beat fast. I wanted to ask where he was, who he was with, and why he didn't answer his phone fast enough. Sometimes he smiled and gave me flowers. But even then, I looked at the flowers and thought maybe he gave the same ones to someone else too. I started checking his pockets when he wasn't home. I opened his drawers. I even looked at his emails when he forgot to log out. I didn't find anything strange, but I kept looking. I couldn't stop. Something in me always whispered that something was wrong, even if everything looked right. When we sat together to eat, I watched his face more than I ate. If he looked at his phone, I wondered if it was a message from someone else. If he laughed at something, I asked what was funny. I wanted to know every part of his day, every second. Sometimes he looked tired. His eyes were quiet. He didn't talk much. I thought maybe he was hiding something. But maybe he was just tired from work, from life, or maybe from me. I didn't know anymore. I started to feel like a stranger to myself. I wasn't the same happy girl I used to be. I was always thinking, always worrying, always checking. I wanted to stop, but my mind didn't let me. One night, Chris was sleeping beside me. I looked at his face. He looked so calm. I wondered how he could sleep like that while I was full of noise inside. I wanted to believe he was faithful. I wanted to believe I was enough. But the fear was louder than my hope. I told myself that love shouldn't feel like this. Love should feel warm and safe. But my love felt like a storm. Every small thing he did became a wave that shook my heart. I wasn't sure if I was protecting myself or hurting myself more. I didn't know how to stop the thoughts. I didn't know how to stop the need to check, to ask, to doubt. I loved him. I loved him more than anything. But I also feared losing him so much that I was already losing myself. I didn't sleep much that night. My thoughts were full of fear and guilt. I knew I had no real reason to doubt Chris. But my mind always looked for signs, small things that could prove he was hiding something. Even when I found nothing, my heart still whispered dark thoughts. In the morning, Chris made coffee and breakfast like always. He smiled at me, kissed my forehead, and talked about his plans for the day. I smiled too, but my mind was not calm. While he was in the shower, I took his phone again. There was nothing strange, again. But still, I felt something was not right. I watched him leave for work. He looked peaceful, like someone who had nothing to hide. I told myself he was a good man. He always respected me. He came home early. He never lied to me. But my fear didn't go away. During the day, I checked his location on my phone. I saw he was at the office. I opened his social media and looked at every new like, every new comment. I checked the names, checked the profiles. Most were just men from work. Some were women. I didn't know them, so my mind created stories about them. That evening, he came home and gave me a gift. It was a small book I wanted to read. He remembered. My heart felt warm for a moment. He sat beside me and asked about my day. I told him it was fine. I wanted to say sorry for always watching him. I wanted to stop. But I couldn't. The next few days were the same. I watched him. I controlled everything. I told him I wanted to go with him everywhere. He said okay. He didn't complain. But I saw it in his eyes. He was tired. He was trying hard to make me feel safe. But no matter what he did, I was still afraid. I told myself it was love. I loved him so much that I didn't want to lose him. I told myself I was only protecting my heart. But deep inside, I knew it wasn't love. It was fear. A fear that lived in me for a long time. A fear that turned love into control. One night, he sat on the couch, quiet and thoughtful. He didn't touch his food. He didn't look at me. I asked if something was wrong. He said no. But I knew. He was getting tired of always being watched. He was tired of proving his honesty every day. I went to bed before him. I lay in the dark and thought about my life. I thought about the woman I had become. I was not the happy, free girl I used to be. I had changed. My heart was heavy. My mind was full of doubts and fears that never rested. The next morning, I stood in front of the mirror. I looked at my face, my eyes. I didn't like what I saw. I looked tired, worried, sad. I wanted to be different. I wanted to trust again. I wanted to stop turning love into pain. Chris left for work, and this time I didn't check his phone. I didn't open the tracker. I didn't look at social media. I just sat on the couch and closed my eyes. I breathed deeply. It was hard. I felt like something inside me was breaking. But maybe that was good. Maybe I needed to break the fear before it broke us. I remembered the first day I met Chris. He was kind. His smile made me feel safe. I remembered how we laughed, how we walked in the rain, how we held hands. I missed that version of us. I missed who I was back then. I knew I had to change. Not for him. But for myself. I didn't want to be the woman who searched for problems where there were none. I didn't want to lose the man who loved me because of my own fears. The road would be long. I would have bad days. I would still feel scared sometimes. But I had to start. One step at a time. One day at a time. I wanted to choose trust, even when it felt impossible. Because love without trust is not love. It is just fear in a pretty dress. And I didn't want that anymore.